係，特首你好啊，香港01嘅。咁就幾個問題想問翻啦。咁就首先就係，即係你之前就話唔能夠完全決定係動態清零啊，定係共存啦。但係近日你受訪嘅時候咧，又講到話目標係清零嘅。點解會有呢一個轉變嘅咧？之前就舉棋不定啦。其實依家係咪得到中央最新嘅指示，話要動態清零或者清零先通到關，所以先有呢個新嘅轉變咧？另一方面就係關於全民檢測嗰方面啦。咁就其實你喺2月嘅時候，即係疫情幾何級上升嘅時候咧，就宣布話呢個月3月做全民檢測啦。其實依家即係一直以嚟咧，都係話疫情初期做全民檢測係最有效嘅。依家回望翻，其實會唔會覺得當時係有一個誤判嘅存在咧，令到唔能夠第一時間係減重症、減死亡個焦點去咗全民檢測咧？同埋依家即係死亡人數都過咗7000人啦。即係都有啲親建制嘅專欄作家，其實近日有家人因為染疫離世嘅，咁亦都批評政府係抗疫不力嘅。你自己承唔承認抗疫策略係有失誤呢？即係正如習主席所講，特區政府有主體責任啦。你會唔會向市民道歉，尤其是係嗰啲死者嘅家屬道歉呢？唔該。
我早前講呢，我唔希望社會係喺兩條路線嗰度咧有爭拗，其中嘅原因就係大家對於呢兩條路線嘅理解都有所不同嚇。咁所以我只係希望大家咧都係實事求是，係支持特區政府咧揾出一套最有利於香港抗疫嘅方案。而每一個城市嘅抗疫嘅手段都有所不同。呢2日大家見到我哋嘅非常之好嘅伙伴城市上海，佢都係用佢自己一套方法咧嚟到去抗疫。咁香港亦都係同樣咧，希望喺2年嘅抗疫經驗裏邊咧揾出一條最適合香港嘅路線。但係事實上抗疫係動態嘅，即係話係不斷咁喺度改變。我哋喺第一宗本地Omicron 發生嘅時候係12月31號，之後我哋係成功咁壓制咗佢嘅擴散，但係好不幸咧，就係到後期係有一個喺檢疫酒店感染嘅個案係出咗事，所以呢個係喺一個檢疫酒店裏邊有一位人士就嚟完成咗檢疫期，俾另一位新入嚟檢疫嘅人士係感染。呢啲唔係人為上嘅錯誤，係喺一個公共衛生嘅危機裏邊，有陣時係冇辦法完全可以避免呢一種嘅因素。咁所以我哋又要應對，究竟喺一個大型爆發、傳播力咁高、市民嗰個社會嘅流動仍然係好高嘅時候，採取啲咩政策嚇？每一個階段我哋都係按住研判，而呢個研判亦都考慮咗專家嘅意見啦，無論係政府內或者政府外嘅專家嘅意見，所以並不能夠去形容話我哋係時常去轉變。如果係用轉變兩個字咧，轉變都係為咗防疫，唔係為咗個人嘅即係突然間有一個唔同嘅睇法嚇。咁所以希望咧大家係了解嚇。同樣地針對全民強制檢測咧，我哋一早都係認為個時機係緊要嘅，但係亦都冇人可以預測得到咧喺2月之後會發生咁嚴重嘅即係爆發啦，係咪嚇？高峰期係3月3、3月4呢2日嚇。咁所以我哋都係要準備。如果唔話俾市民聽，我哋進入去提方案，去細化啲方案去作準備，從而咧係向中央要求一啲支援。到時真係有所公佈要做嘅時候咧，即係大家亦都會批評話點解又唔一早講咗話會計劃做，等我哋大家都知道，亦都可以俾下意見咧係點樣做。但係每一次做呢啲工作咧，都係要有能力嘅。如果冇能力咧，就係白講啦嚇。等於我哋上個禮拜應該係前日講嗰個全民去派發呢個防疫嘅服務包，都要講能力嚇。我哋都係要等我哋物資、醫療物資抵港啦，亦都要動員咗有5000到1萬嘅義工肯幫手啦。 亦都要進行密集式嘅包裝，然後先至可以去派發俾接近300萬戶嘅家庭啊。咁所以每一件工作都係有一個過程嘅嚇，喺呢個過程裏邊，我哋都係盡咗最大嘅能力。因為咧，正如你講咧，特區政府係負有主體嘅責任。我哋每日都係履行緊呢個主體嘅責任。履行主體責任嘅同時咧，對於做得唔好嘅地方，我哋都改善嘅。所以每日就要調整咯。但你又形容為呢啲係轉變，呢啲係調整嘅政策，希望嗰個防疫嘅工作咧係做得更加好。香港能夠早日走出呢個逆境。多謝。
Good morning. A few questions from the SCMP. So on the flight suspension.
Sorry, could you speak louder, please? Sorry.
So on this flight suspension mechanism, what's the rationale behind shortening the suspension period from 14 to 7, as opposed to lowering the threshold of the number of positive cases on each flight? Why not simply cancel the mechanism as just suggested by experts and other industry representatives? And did you communicate this to the airlines, and what was the feedback? For the 9 countries, we're still not seeing a lot of flights being resumed, and we're told this route-specific suspension is a deterrent. So do you think the lowering of the ban to 7 days is good enough?
Of the 3 questions, first of all, I have been asked several times on this occasion since the announcement on Monday about lifting the place-specific flight suspension. The questions revolved around whether we could also look at the route-specific flight suspension. And I said that there is no room for major relaxation because ultimately the purpose is still to ensure that we could implement effectively the policy to prevent the importation of cases into Hong Kong. This remains a fundamental pillar to Hong Kong's anti-epidemic policy. I have to make it very clear. But having considered the latest epidemic situation and the difficulties caused to Hong Kong residents who are stranded in the 9 countries for almost 3 months now, the government considers it timely and necessary, having considered their situation, to lift the ban in respect of these 9 countries. But it doesn't mean that we will loosen all the necessary anti-epidemic controls as far as importation of cases is concerned. That's why this route-specific flight suspension policy or measure has to continue. At the same time, if you look at the press release issued by the Food and Health Bureau last night, we are also imposing a lot of requirements for pre-boarding. In other words, those Hong Kong residents who wish to come back, they still have to fulfill all those requirements before they could board the plane to come back. And similarly, the airlines, as the operator of those inbound flights, they also have to comply with the various requirements. For example, checking the PCR negative tests of the passengers, make sure that they have the booking at least 7 nights in a designated quarantine hotel before they allow these passengers to board the plane to come to Hong Kong. So since we have this expectation and requirement of the airlines, we need to put in some penalty. If they fail to fulfill these requirements, and bring a certain number of infected passengers into Hong Kong, then we have to take some punitive action so that they would do better. So I said that there's no room for major relaxation. So what we announced last night could be described as a streamlining of the existing arrangements. But the most crucial control feature is the number of 3. So any inbound flight that brings in more than 3 or more passengers who are tested positive upon arrival, then they will be subject to this route-specific flight suspension. The other changes are more streamlining and adjustments in nature. The most important thing is we stick to every flight. You can't bring in more than 3 infected cases to Hong Kong.